Oh, everyone, it's Ant again. Today I'm going to be talking to you about my 5 tips on what to do if you have a stoma and if you want to get a good night's sleep. But give me a few minutes, I'm just going to get changed and I'll be right with you. So obviously, you can see I put a dressing gown on now, so I'm a bit more appropriately dressed, if you will. I'm going to be talking to you today about how to get a good night's sleep with a stoma, and effectively, what things you can do as an ostomate so you can still get a good night's sleep. You can still sleep normally. There's nothing to say that you can't. And yes, you are going to have to get up in the night. It's just going to be a part of life for you now. Sometimes you may get up once, you may get up 3 times, or maybe not at all. But it is going to break your sleep up occasionally. The nice thing is you've got a personalised alarm clock now. So that's the best thing. But anyway, I'm going to tell you my 5 top tips for getting a good night's sleep. So tip number 1 is think about the bags that you are wearing. So when I was in hospital, I had really high output for the first few weeks of having a stoma, and I had very small bags on, and I kept saying to the stoma nurses, have you got any high output bags, or maybe even ones that I can attach to an overnight drain, just so I can get a couple of nights sleep without having to get up all the time. And the stoma nurses were more than happy to. They gave me some sort of post-surgery bags, which were really quite large, but it meant I could get some sleep. The bag would fill up, but I could still sleep comfortably for at least a few hours anyway. Loads and loads of stoma companies will supply you with large or high output bags, but have a chat with your stoma nurses and your stoma teams just to see what's going to be best for you. So there you go. Second thing, tip number 2 is having a think about the position that you sleep in. Now, when I was in hospital, they said you can't really sleep on your front anymore. And for me, I'd never really slept on my front anyway. It doesn't mean you can't. I know there are lots of people that have a good night's sleep laying on their front, and that's absolutely fine. But what's more than likely going to happen is if you are going to sleep on your front, you're going to probably apply more pressure to your bag. And that'll, as your bag fills up overnight naturally, it'll probably cause leaks. So I think about the positions that you'd sleep in. For me personally, my partner's not here at the moment, but I tend to start sleeping on my right hand side, then I'll be on my back, then my left hand side, and I'll roll around all night. I'll take up the whole bed, whatever. But you're always going to move around in the night anyway, so make sure you've got a bag that's going to suit you for your needs as well. And you are going to sleep in the most comfortable position for you, so you get the best night's sleep. I do have a few ostomates who do sleep on their front. They don't have any bag leaks. They have a great night's sleep. So it can be done, but just work out the positions that are going to work for you. Third tip is, for me, I cannot stress how important this is, and this is actually overlooked most of the time. It's actually wearing some overnight support garments. Now, this can be in forms of either a very loose-fitting support band or sort of boxers or high-waisted garments and stuff like that. And the reason why I sort of found these and saw these was because when I was first, going to bed with my bag and stuff like this, sounds a bit interesting, I would wear boxers and just have my bag overhang and stuff like this. And most of the time, everything was absolutely fine. But if I had a leak or a problem during the night, it would tend to mean that it would then go on the bed. I then started to use some of the great products from Comfortwear, a couple of very loose-fitting support bands and just some high-waisted garments and stuff like that. And even when I would go to bed, if I was to have an issue, fortunately everything would be in the garment or on the band itself, so nothing would actually get on the bed. And you guys know, if you've got a stoma, there's nothing worse than having to have a 3 a.m. Washing machine trip with all your duvet and all those sorts of bits and pieces, or waking your partner up for a very important meeting with the washing machine, if you will. So yeah, have a look about those sorts of bits and pieces. If not, there are a couple of the flange extenders and stuff you could use if you don't want to wear things, but there are so many great products. So have a look in my bio, click the link up there, or go on the Comfortwear websites and they can have a look for some bits and pieces for you. Tip number 4 is think about what you're eating. Now, I don't mean this in the sense of I'm now a dietitian and I want you to eat better. I mean it in the sense of the timing and when you eat. Now, obviously, we all live in a society where there are going to be different pressures and the times that you eat, and the culture that you may have may be completely different about the time that you eat. I live with my partner who tends to want to eat quite early. When she comes home, we normally eat about 6:30, which is okay. Some people think that's quite normal. Some people think that's incredibly early. When I go away or I go and speak to some friends and family, I may be eating about 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock at night, which is very common in European cultures. So it's more about just working out, if you're going to eat and stuff like that, how's this going to impact you when you sleep? Well, the honest truth is, if you are going to be eating, your body's still going to work. It's still going to be processing that food and it's still going to be going through your digestive system. So if you're worried about getting up several times and stuff like this, maybe have a look at the times that you're eating and then do some trial and error, work out what's going to be best for you. You are going to have to get up in the night. It's just going to happen, unless you are timing it perfectly or depending on your dietary requirements that your bag isn't filling up quite a lot. But I tend to get up in the night. If I've gone out and I've been enjoying myself with a few beers or drinks or whatever, or consuming large volumes of liquid, naturally that's going to fill my bag up more, which means I'm going to have to get up a couple of times. But you'll have to work out what's going to be working best for you. So yeah, just think about the times that you're going to be consuming your food and your drink and stuff like that. Sometimes I have found the later I leave it, the easier it is for me. But hey, you can go work it out. And then last but not least, my fifth tip is just have a good night's sleep. Now I know it seems very, very silly, but a lot of the times, again, as I normally end on this point, we worry and we stress about the turmoils of having a stoma, all these bits and pieces. Just shut your eyes, drift off, put on some music, a candle, whatever, wind down after a long day and enjoy your sleep. Sleep's so important, and having a stoma isn't necessarily going to impact your ability to sleep. Ironically, I actually find I sleep so much better now than I ever have done because I have to get up in the night to empty my bag and come back to sleep. I get much better 4 hours to interval sleep, if you will, rather than 8 hours flat. So guys, there you go. Those are my tips for having a bag and going to sleep rather than sleeping with a stoma, because that sounds a bit weird. I'm going to go back and get some shut-eye. So yeah, good night, and I'll speak to you soon.